The picks are in for the Washington Commanders as we're going to be talking about round 6 and 7 and the players that they selected and their potential impact in this upcoming season. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that like, hit that subscribe, and follow the channel as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football daily. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we're talking about round 6 and 7 for the Washington Commanders. And so starting with round number 6 for the Washington Commanders, they go running back and they take Kaytron Allen out of Penn State. So he's 5'11", 216 pounds. He was the 187th pick in the 6th round, and he was the 7th running back off the board here. And so here are the things that I like about him. And so the first thing is that he can really play in any scheme. And so I love that because that means that you don't have to scheme up a whole bunch of things for him to be productive from day one. And so I like that with Kaytron Allen. The next thing is that he runs with power. And I certainly think that the Washington Commanders need a running back that's going to run with some power. And so I think that you really get a chance to see a player that is going to run behind his pad levels and really finish on runs. The next thing with him is that he is a very patient runner and shows good vision. And so this is the type of player that he will wait for the blocks to set up. And then once he sees the opening, he is going to find that crease and press it. And so I like that with him, showing the patience and the vision here as a runner. The next thing, the productivity was certainly there for Kaytron Allen. And so 2 consecutive seasons where he was over 1,000 yards. And so in 2024, he had 220 attempts, 1,108 yards, a 5.0 average there. And he also had 8 touchdowns as well. In 2025, 210 attempts, 1,303 yards with a 6.2 average and 15 touchdowns on the year there. And so the productivity was there as far as finding the end zone. It was there as far as finding the yards. And also, too, you love the fact that, look, the average is at 6 and 5. When you're talking about getting 10 yards or needing 10 yards to get to the first down marker and those averages like that, you have to love that. And so I know that that's something that will have to translate in the National Football League, but certainly something that would draw you to going ahead and drafting him. And so next, and kind of looking at some other stuff that I do like about him, he is a physical runner that has good ball security. And so that is very critical. We've talked about this before with the Washington Commanders, the turnovers, the silly mistakes and things like that. And so to know that you're drafting a player that certainly values taking care of the football, that's huge. I think that that's something that the Washington Commanders really want to set as a standard, certainly moving forward this upcoming season after that disaster last season. And that physicality is always going to be welcomed, especially in the National Football League at the running back position. And so the things that he needs to work on here, and this is looking at a couple of NFL draft profiles for him. Number one here is that you wonder just how impactful he's going to be because he really was in a shared backfield type of deal. And so if you do need him to be the main back, can he be the guy that can handle that workload? The next thing here is he just doesn't have home run hitting speed. And so this is not the type of player that is going to get into the open field and just, maybe take it off for 80 yards or something like that. But make no mistake about it. Again, just going back to the averages, he is going to get a good chunk of yards, just not sure if he's going to be that home run hitter to take it to the house. The next thing with him is outside of the screen game, there's really not anything that has been shown as far as him being a really good receiver. So because of that, he's probably going to be in situations where he may not be on the field on third downs in those obvious passing situations. And so those are the things that you wonder about. I think he can obviously get better there as a route runner. And so I think that that's something that you can kind of check off the box. And two, as far as the durability and the shared backfield situation, I think that most NFL backfields are like that, but there are going to be some times where, look, you might have to do a little bit of the heavy lifting. And so you wonder, can he just handle that? And so those are the strengths, those are the weaknesses here. But I must say this, for a round 6 pickup, I think that this was excellent value for the Washington Commanders. And I actually think that Kaytron Allen might have a big role for the Washington Commanders because going back to, again, The one thing that is listed as like the uncertainty here with him being in a shared backfield situation, he's going to be in that situation here with the Washington Commanders. And I think that with David Blau in this offense, that's how he wants to do it. Because if they're going to do what we saw here with the Detroit Lions and the fact that they've had Gibbs and they've had a David Montgomery, well, you might have found your David Montgomery here with Kaytron Allen. Like, I think that he really looks like that he's going to be that player that's going to move some furniture here. And I'm talking about moving the pile and getting into the end zone on those short yardage situations, or if you want to pound a defense and really try to run the clock out, he might be that guy. And so I like this pick here. One of the things that I saw here in his NFL.com draft profile is they compare him to a Tyler Algier. And so he was a very good back. I think you're going to see some more of really what he can do with the Arizona Cardinals here. I know that they just drafted Jeremiah Love, but I think that that is going to be a very good backfield. And he had to play alongside of Bijan Robinson, and he was pretty good here. And so this is why I think that Kaytron Allen could be a really good steal here for the Washington Commanders in round number 6 here. And so next, I wanted to talk a little bit here about round 7 for the Washington Commanders. And so starting with what they did here at the center position, which again, I think that this turns out to be, I think, another value selection here. And so they pick up Matt Gubin here out of Michigan State. And so, look, I like this pick here at pick 209. He's 6'4", 305 pounds. And the first reason why I like this is because it kind of checks a need here. Because one of the things that we talked about here with this team is that they let Tyler Biadasz go. And so because of that, Nick Allegretti is, I believe, set to be the starter, the projected starter for the Washington Commanders. And they're talking about throwing Brandon Coleman out there and perhaps him competing for some reps here. And so the fact that they have another center on the roster, I absolutely like that. They didn't go out and get one via free agency here. Now, according to ESPN.com and just looking at his draft profile there, they talk about the fact that, look, he shows some good hand placement here. He's got some good power. This is a guy that is good with the combo blocks, and he can get to the second level. The thing about him is at times he's not very good as far as staying behind the pad leverage, and so he's going to have to get better there. The next thing is he's going to have to get a bit more consistent with where he's going ahead and placing his hands for the blocks here, because at times, he can miss and then he can lose the block. That way, the other thing that they talked about with him is the change in direction will need to get better as well. But as far as going out and potentially getting you a center that can operate in this offense, it looks like that, Matt Gubin could be that player for you. And the one thing that I do like about him is that he's an Iron Man. This is a guy that didn't miss games here. He was out there. He was pretty dependable. He played for Wake Forest, I believe, and Michigan State. And so, again, I think that this was another value selection for the Washington Commanders. And so next, their last pick in this NFL draft was at quarterback here. And so this was an interesting pick for the Washington Commanders as they take Athan Kaliakmanis, a quarterback out of Rutgers here. And so, with Athan here, 6'3", 215 pounds, he was the 223rd pick in this NFL draft. And so, just going off his ESPN.com draft profile details here. And so it talked about the fact that he improved his completion rate from 53% to 62.2%. So that's always good when you're seeing, a progression here from players. Next, it talks about the fact that he's good in the play action. And so I think that that's something that David Blau is going to use a lot of, his play action, talking about how he wants to put Jaden Daniels under center a little bit more here. And so I think that that would be a good system fit by bringing him in. The next thing is that he can make all the NFL throws. And so it looks like that he's got certainly the arm talent to be here in the NFL. And so you like that. This is a guy that can throw on the run. He's not very mobile here, but I think that really with this pick, the Washington Commanders might be looking at a situation here where they might be looking to do something different, besides a Sam Hartman. We didn't even get a chance to see Sam Hartman step in again, the Commanders didn't decide to put him out there, when the Washington Commanders were going through, just a tough patch with the quarterback injuries last season, and that's with Jaden Daniels going down. That's also with Marcus Mariota going down as well. And so, look, I think that the Commanders are thinking a little bit more of a long-term piece here, maybe at the second or the third string quarterback here, because obviously not sure how much longer Marcus Mariota is going to play. And then again with Sam Hartman, I think that there's really a question mark as to, hey, is this guy, the quarterback that we trust if other quarterbacks go down? Maybe this is what the Commanders are thinking here with Athan coming in here and being on the roster. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here, what are you guys thinking here about this 7th round selection? Do you see this playing out in the quarterback room? Like I just said here, could he maybe be the replacement here for Sam Hartman? Then next, just looking at the center position here, I think that, again, I feel like that Matt Gubin has a chance to really go out there and compete at that center position, showed some good stuff here in his highlights. And I think a lot of stuff that just really could translate to being a solid player and one the Commanders might want to depend on here as time goes along. Next, looking at, I think my favorite pick out of the last couple selections here, and that's going to be Kaytron Allen. I think that he has the potential to be the thumper, just the slammer here in this offense. And I really think that the Commanders are looking for that. I think that David Blau needs to get a player that is that David Montgomery type of player. You might have this with Kaytron Allen. Again, he is not going to be a flashy type of player. He is the guy that, look, he is going to put on his hard hat and go to work. He is a one, cut type of running back, and he is going right upfield, and he is not shying away from contact. I love how he finishes runs and things like that. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking about picks or the picks in round 6 and the other picks here in round 7. And we'll be talking a little bit more about what these players had to say in the pre-draft or the post-draft interviews, along with what Adam Peters had to say about the entire draft as well. And so stay posted about that. We'll be talking more about the Washington Commanders. And so, as we always say, go Commanders, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.